One question I get an awful lot in the video comment sections would be, what speakers should I buy? And before you ask that question, either of yourself or me, there's another question you should ask yourself, which is, what are your sound objectives? Okay, for me, I do mostly wedding receptions and corporate events, and we're talking about maybe just over 100 people all the way up to just shy of 300. So I have a system that works really well for that. In fact, I have a couple. They're the column array systems. Maybe you've seen them. Everybody makes them. EV, FBT, American Audio makes one, Turbo Sound, RCF. There are a lot of options out there, and they all have different capabilities and specs, but they work really well for this, because what I want to achieve at a wedding or a corporate event is clarity throughout a room, but not loudness. And I also want a dance floor hotspot. I achieved that dance floor hotspot really well with 12-inch woofers. I believe that they tend to hit the dance floor better than a bigger sub. A bigger sub likes to throw further into the room, and the sweet spot ends up either in the middle or the back of a room, where on the smaller subwoofers it's been my experience that it's closer to the dance floor. So that's perfect for what I want to do. Let's say you do school dances. You have different objectives, because what you want to do is fill a large space with even sound and big sound, especially if you're playing for like maybe 500-600 kids in a gymnasium. So maybe you don't want one of these compact column arrays for that. It's not going to do the job as well as, let's say, a pair of 12-inch tops and a pair of either 15 or 18-inch subwoofers. Depending on the brand, those hit pretty hard and should do a pretty good job for you. The 15s are nice because they're small enough to fit in most vehicles, not too heavy sometimes. Sometimes they get really heavy, but like the EV stuff is real lightweight on the EKX systems in the 15. So I like those. But if you're doing the occasional wedding reception as well, you don't particularly have to buy two separate speaker systems, because what you can do is subtract things from your main system. So for example, let's say you're doing a wedding reception of 150 people. Instead of buying a separate system to handle that job, why not eliminate your subwoofers and just bring your tops, and then tune them for the room? You can do this on a lot of the cool new modern speakers, especially with the Class D amplifiers. You can definitely bring them down and make them more suitable for different environments. So you're not stuck with two systems. Like, okay, well, I can't do a wedding because I've got this big system. No, you can get a system that handles both. It's really hard to find a system that handles 150-person wedding receptions and 1,000-kid school dances. In that case, sometimes you're almost obligated to pick up an additional system for those smaller events, because you're going to just make people's ears bleed with a system that's too big for a small wedding. But if you're doing, like I said, 600 kids and maybe 150 person wedding receptions and school dances, you can usually add and subtract components from your system to make that happen. But not all speakers are created equal. I've got a couple different brands back here. I've got some high-end stuff, I've got some mid-grade stuff, and I have some budget stuff. It just kind of depends on what you step into. So I don't know if this video helped anybody, but those are just some ideas for you when you're thinking about what speakers you should buy. Ask yourself these questions and see what the answers are that you come up with. Maybe you can get away with one system, maybe you need two, maybe you buy one system, but for that occasional gig that you do and your system isn't quite right for it, you can rent. That's also a very economical way to go. So anyway, that's it. Practice and enjoy.